Yeah, sometimes it's just important to take a step back and take a little break, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love doing stuff like this. Like I love chatting with people about this kind of stuff. So I can certainly see a path in my future where I wouldn't be surprised if I return to it. But having a few months off has been really nice.
Yeah, that's the thing. Especially because you guys in the US don't get as much holidays we get over here in Europe. So
No, no, this is one of the reasons I went to grad school and then became a photographer instead because I really wanted that autonomy over my schedule. It was really important to me.
so what's next for you? What's your next project?
Well, I'm working on building a larger commercial portfolio because I've been getting random inquiries from folks and I've done a couple larger gigs and I just thought, I enjoy this. I have the skill set now. I'm more confident than I was even 5 years ago. Like, why not just put that out there and try and get represented and just have it as another arm of my business, and a way to express my skill set because it's, as good money, but it's also different. And I think, as I've probably alluded to enough on this conversation is just, or in this conversation is just that like keeping your creativity alive is incredibly important. And I can feel that within myself when it's like, okay, maybe we got to take a break from weddings and maybe, because when you start showing up to work, like you said, and you're just like, I just want to go home, that's not in service to yourself or your client. And so I just want to kind of branch out and do more of some of the things that I've only done a little bit of in the last, 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, variety is the spice of life, as I say. It's really, I do feel that too. It's important to switch things up. Sometimes, I love shooting headshots. But if I had to shoot headshots, like if I had to shoot 10 headshot clients every day, I probably wouldn't love it for very much longer.
Yeah,
That's the thing. Um,
absolutely.
and see, yeah, the commercial stuff. There's always something different about it, and it can get. Sometimes it's really interesting, sometimes it's not, but you can live with it because it's going to be something else around the corner that's going to be different. And the other thing is, you know, doing like changing up what you're doing will really make you a better photographer because you're coming up against new problems that you have to solve, which will just add to your skill set and it will just make you grow and and improve and get better. And you can then even if in 10 years time you decide like, oh, actually I miss weddings, I want to go back into weddings, you'll take all of that newfound knowledge with you, and it will make you better at shooting weddings. I always moan about the fact that I had to shoot products during the pandemic. Yeah, it was annoying. I mean, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, sure,
I
sure.
make it out to be terrible. It wasn't that terrible.
Hmm.
But there were challenges. Like, I remember this call, this little startup company, and they were making um shampoo and conditioner bars, like soap bars.
Yeah.
Um, and they were white, and they wanted them shot for their new website, but they wanted them shot on a white background. And like, you already shoot a white soap bar on a white background. All right, I'm gonna have to come up with something, because and then I came up with a whole concept, and it was fun. It was then actually fun to figure out, and it was fun to like. It was fun to figure out how I could give them what they wanted, but at the same time widen their imagination a little bit to give them, additional concepts. So I could, on one hand, satisfy them, but at the same time, I could also put a little bit of creativity into it and make, and sort of almost like manipulate, I want to say, them a little bit so that they could see a wider picture rather than just, well, all products on websites are shot on white backgrounds. That's what we want our soap bars to look like. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, and it might be different in product photography, but I think that there's an important element that consumers should really keep in mind, and that like you're hiring someone for their skill set, and the beautiful part is that every photographer shoots a little bit differently, and so you are asking for someone's creative input, unless of course you just are doing something really rote. But I think my favorite gigs are when my client trusts me and my vision because that's what they see on my website and that's what they're ostensibly hiring me for.
Well, exactly. And, hopefully most of the time, that's exactly how it should work out. In the beginning, when you're I think when you're first starting out and you're just taking anything and everything, just because you've got to get the ruble rolling in, then sometimes you find yourself in hot water in that way. But generally speaking, you're right. People should theoretically come to you because they like your style and the way that you shoot something, and they'll hire an expert because otherwise they just shoot it on their iPhone.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they?
Yep.
That's the thing.
100%.
And with AI, that's very well what they might be doing. And
Sure.
who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially product stuff. I think that's going to be an interesting one to watch. You certainly can't do a lot with AI, coming into your house and capturing your kids during bath time. But there's a lot of photography that's going to, there's already a few headshot bots that are really interesting. You upload a handful of iPhone pictures of your face. And
absolutely. I had a really interesting conversation with Gary Hughes about this not too long ago. And I think him and me really agree on that. In the headshot world, products may be the same. It will have an impact on the industry, on the headshot segment, but it will predominantly have an impact on the low end side of things, because those people who will spend $2.49 on an app to create their headshots, they're not the people that want like a high end product, and ultimately they're not necessarily the clients that I particularly serve, because I can't afford to shoot those clients. That's not how I can keep my kids in Netflix. That's the thing. So ultimately, it may very well mean that for some headshot photographers, they may have to recalibrate their business, and focus on a different customer segment, and maybe go more into the more refined, it's a high-end market, maybe, because those clients will always want that experience, and they want that personal touch, and they want that quality, and they really don't want to take a snappy selfie of themselves on their iPhone, and then have an app turn it into something that's not a unique thing. Just like people who drive really expensive cars, they drive them for a reason. It's because they don't want to drive a VW Jetta or something. The super like eBay, Amazon type picture. There's absolutely zero reason why you would have to hire somebody to do that these days.
Sure.
Most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's one of those things. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Camera Check podcast this week. It was an absolute pleasure.
My pleasure. This is a lot of fun. I love these conversations.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, then press here for the full episode in glorious Technicolor. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe.